Have you ever had the feeling of waking up already tired, even before the day begins, as if your body is present but your mind is already overloaded? Have you noticed small signs of irritation, lack of focus, or exhaustion that seem too normal to be taken seriously? Occupational stress usually shows up exactly like this, quietly, gradually, and easily mistaken for just a passing phase. And that is precisely why it becomes so dangerous. When ignored, it builds up until it crosses limits that affect not only professional performance, but also mental, emotional, and physical health. Today, we're going to talk calmly about how to identify the early signs of occupational stress before they turn into something much bigger. If this content resonates with you, consider leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, and turning on notifications. This simple action helps the channel continue sharing important information about well-being and quality of life with more people. Occupational stress does not appear overnight. It doesn't start with major breakdowns, intense crises, or immediate time off work. Most of the time, it settles in subtly, almost imperceptibly, hidden within a fast-paced routine, constant pressure, and the belief that everyone lives like this. The problem is that normalizing exhaustion doesn't make it healthy. On the contrary, the more we ignore the early signs, the louder the body and mind have to scream to be heard. And when that happens, we're often already dealing with burnout, severe anxiety, depression, or physical problems linked to chronic stress. One of the first signs of occupational stress is a change in the relationship with work itself. Tasks that were once neutral or even enjoyable begin to cause discomfort, irritation, or a constant feeling of heaviness. Simply thinking about the next workday can create tension, restlessness, or difficulty relaxing. This is not a momentary lack of motivation, but a persistent sense of draining obligation, as if work is consuming more energy than it should without leaving room for recovery. Another important sign appears in the body, often before it becomes fully conscious in the mind. Frequent muscle pain, especially in the neck, shoulders, and back, can be direct manifestations of accumulated stress. Changes in sleep are also very common. Some people have trouble falling asleep, wake up several times during the night, or experience shallow, unrefreshing sleep. Others feel excessive sleepiness, as if rest is never enough. In both cases, the body is signaling that something is out of balance. Occupational stress also tends to affect concentration and memory. Small forgetfulness, difficulty maintaining focus, a sense of a racing mind, or, on the other hand, a kind of mental fog begin to appear. This does not mean a lack of competence or professional interest. It means the nervous system is overloaded, operating in a constant state of alert. When the brain spends too much time dealing with pressure, demands, and deadlines without adequate pauses, it reduces its processing capacity as a form of self-protection. On an emotional level, the early signs can be even more subtle. Irritability outside one's usual pattern, impatience with simple situations, or the feeling of always being on edge or emotionally drained are important indicators. Many people notice they start reacting more intensely to minor setbacks, feeling anger, frustration, or sadness in disproportionate ways. This is not emotional weakness, it is the result of constant tension accumulating without space for processing and psychological rest. Another often overlooked aspect is the gradual loss of the ability to disconnect from work. Even outside working hours, the mind keeps replaying tasks, worries, unresolved problems, and future expectations. The phone becomes an extension of mental workload, and the feeling of always being available prevents true rest. Over time, this difficulty in switching off creates a continuous state of stress, where the body no longer finds real moments of recovery. It's important to understand that occupational stress does not depend only on workload, but on how work is experienced. Environments with poor communication, lack of recognition, unrealistic goals, job insecurity, interpersonal conflicts, or little autonomy significantly intensify stress. Even highly qualified, organized, and committed people can become emotionally unwell when they're immersed in contexts that demand a lot and offer little support. Often, the early signs are minimized with phrases like, "it's just a phase," "everyone is tired," or "it will get better later." While common, these statements can delay the realization that something needs to change. The body and mind rarely send signals without reason. When ignored, those signals tend to intensify, finding other ways to get attention. That's why learning to recognize early signs is a fundamental step in self-care and prevention. As occupational stress progresses without intervention, it begins to affect areas beyond work. Personal relationships may become more tense, interest in previously enjoyable activities decreases, and the sense of exhaustion starts to follow the individual throughout the entire day. What began as occasional discomfort gradually turns into a permanent state of wear and tear, often accompanied by guilt for not keeping up or feeling like one should be doing better. Recognizing these signs does not mean failure, incompetence, or lack of resilience. On the contrary, it means awareness, responsibility, and self-respect. Occupational stress does not discriminate by profile, role, or level of experience. It develops when there's a prolonged imbalance between demands and the internal resources available to cope with them. And the earlier this imbalance is recognized, the greater the chances for adjustment, prevention, and healthy recovery. When we talk about identifying the early signs of occupational stress, it's essential to understand that this awareness doesn't come only during extreme moments, but in everyday life, through small changes that accumulate over time. A key part of this process is learning to observe yourself with more presence and less judgment. Many people realize something isn't right, but ignore the signs out of fear of appearing weak, unproductive, or incapable. This attitude, although understandable in competitive professional environments, end up making the problem worse rather than solving it. An important sign that often emerges early is a shift in motivation. This is not just occasional discouragement, but a gradual loss of meaning in what you do. Work becomes merely an obligation to fulfill, with no sense of purpose or satisfaction. This emotional disconnection is one of the first indicators that stress is no longer situational and is becoming chronic. Another aspect that deserves attention is how the body reacts to daily demands. Frequent heart palpitations, a feeling of tightness in the chest, gastrointestinal issues, recurring headaches, and weakened immunity are common physiological responses to prolonged stress. The body does not distinguish between emotional and physical stress. For the nervous system, everything is interpreted as threat or overload, triggering defense mechanisms that, when maintained for too long, wear the body down. Behavior also offers clear, though often subtle, signals. Excessive procrastination, difficulty starting tasks, increased consumption of caffeine, sugar, or ultra-processed foods can indicate unconscious attempts to compensate for exhaustion. In some cases, there's increased social withdrawal, with reduced contact with colleagues, friends, and family. In others, the opposite occurs, constant hyperactivity, as if staying busy were a way to avoid confronting fatigue. It's important to emphasize that occupational stress is not solely an individual issue. It is often the result of organizational structures and cultures that glorify overproductivity, constant availability, and disregard human limits. Recognizing early signs also means acknowledging when the environment itself is demanding more than what is healthy, regardless of personal effort. No individual strategy is enough if the context remains harmful, but early awareness allows for adjustments, conversations, and alternatives before the impact becomes severe. Difficulty experiencing pleasure outside of work is another relevant sign. Simple activities such as watching a movie, having a conversation, or resting stop feeling restorative. The mind remains restless, replaying problems, unfinished tasks, and future worries. This continuous state of alert prevents emotional rest and reinforces the stress cycle. When leisure loses its restorative function, it's a clear sign that the system is overloaded. Identifying these signs early opens the door to lighter and more effective interventions. Small adjustments in routine, such as setting clearer boundaries between work and personal life, creating real breaks throughout the day, improving sleep quality, and seeking emotional support can make a significant difference when applied at the beginning of the process. The problem is not feeling stress, but staying in it for long periods without proper care. Seeking professional help should also be viewed as prevention, not only as a response to crisis. Psychologists, therapists, and other mental health professionals can help identify behavioral patterns, excessive self-demand, and healthier coping strategies. The earlier this support is sought, the smaller the overall impact of stress on health tends to be. It's essential to remember that sustainable productivity only exists where balance exists. Working under constant stress does not increase efficiency in the long run, it only accelerates exhaustion. Taking care of mental health in the professional context is neither a luxury nor a sign of weakness. It's a basic requirement for maintaining quality of life, emotional clarity, and healthier relationships with work and with yourself. By recognizing the early signs of occupational stress, you place yourself in a position of choice, the choice to adjust course, respect limits, seek support, and build a more conscious relationship with work. Ignoring these signs may seem easier in the short term, but the long-term cost is often high. Listening to your body and mind is an act of responsibility and emotional maturity. If this content was meaningful to you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to keep following content about well-being, mental health, and quality of life. Your engagement strengthens the channel and helps more people access information that can transform how they relate to work and to their own health. Thank you for being here, for dedicating this time to yourself, and for valuing emotional well-being.